Hi, buddy. Lucy is in her element. When you take a dog out to the woods, other than some of these human engineered dogs that we have now, I really don't know for sure if I would consider a Chihuahua to have an enjoyable time in the woods, but I'm sure that they do. I'm just saying I don't know because I've never had a small dog like that. But I know that a lot of dog breeds have kind of bred that curiosity and wandering out of some dogs, apparently, and they get a little more paranoid, like people, and want to just kind of hide at home. And oh no! Well, there goes my drink. And I need that drink, don't I, Lucy? I kind of thought that would happen. So I was sitting up here on this hill. It's like 7 a.m. Clumsy as hell because I just got out of bed. And ouch, I just got a sticker bush in my finger, this little sticker, and it just hurts like heck. And as I walked up this, well, this is the trail right here. As you can see, it's not really a trail. Probably was at one time, maybe, 50 years ago when people were up here doing whatever they were doing. I'm pretty sure that this area was at one time logged, but since then it's become what they call the Wind River Experimental Forest. And there's a place up here called Panther Creek Campground. And along that Panther Creek Road are several different places to camp where you can just kind of, my family and I like to do, I guess you would call it primitive camping. I've always been the kind of guy who just pulls up to a spot with a little fire pit. And even if there's not a fire pit, if I can find a spot to park, I'm more than happy to camp in a spot that has absolutely nothing. And if it weren't for having the kids that want to play in the water, and my wife who loves the water, of course, too, and me, of course, we all love being near a body of water, I can actually go up and camp just off the side of the road in the middle of nowhere and be more than happy with the sights and sounds that occur. So this particular spot, and as I was walking up, I was thinking how everything hurts you up here. This hill was very steep and I was slipping and my shoes weren't tied well enough. I'm still in my pajamas, but Lucy got me out of bed and insisted that we go on a walk. So as we were journeying up here, the demeanor and the excitement with which she, travels in the woods, it's very similar to the way any dog travels when they're at their local park or on a walk somewhere. But it's different in the sense that you can just see, especially with Nordic dogs or, whether basically raw dogs that have a lot of their natural features still that haven't been bred the wild out of yet, like huskies, malamutes. Even I used to have a Norwegian elk hound that was part Akita. Akitas are very loyal dogs, but he was an explorer. If I opened the front door and didn't keep an eye on him, he would just run out. And if I called for him, he was gone. I mean, he was the greatest dog, good listener. But when it came to his freedom, he's like, screw you, I'm out of here. And he'd always come back. But the point being that dogs want to explore the wild. They want to be out there checking out new things. And so do we. Because when I come out here and I look around at just all the beauty, I feel so at home right here. I feel so in my element. The minute we got out to the woods, parked the bus, grabbed our chairs and went down to the river there, I blew up this little air mattress and laid it in the creek in this one little spot where it was kind of trapped between these rocks. And I just laid there and looked up at the sky and just felt the water up and down, slowly bobbing me. Crystal clear, drinkable right out of the creek. And I think this is where I'm supposed to be. This is the place where I was meant to be. The woods. Nature. I don't even care if it's the desert. I grew up, my father used to take my my brother and I to the desert all the time, every year. That was his place, especially down in eastern Oregon. And my brother and I would just kind of travel up the canyon, you know, the desert canyons that had not been traversed in who knows how long. The kind of places that nobody really goes. And I mean, we'd just find these giant crystals and, you know, chunks of obsidian and everything just sitting right along the edge of a path. I mean, probably a game path, because most of the places in the desert are game trails. And this trail right here is no different. The only reason it's still functioning is because it's a game trail, and the deer and the elk probably travel through here, and the black bear and whatever else is out here. And they keep those trails pretty well maintained, at least enough to see where you're going. Although my wife and I did get lost once following a game trail, thinking it was a human trail. And we were up in the Mount Hood National Forest there, and ended up by this river in this boulder field. And we're talking like monstrous boulders, you know, the kind you can't even jump from boulder to boulder. They're so big you have to climb around them. And I panicked a little bit. This was like maybe 20 years ago when we'd first got together. I remember my wife kept so calm, you know, she's like, it's fine, we'll find our way out. And here I am knowing what happens if you get lost and not having the faith that I could find my way back. But I mean, how hard was it, right? I'm here, I'm alive. Even all of the issues and problems that we've ever had camping, I mean, just going out on a hike, you've got to do so much prep work. You've got to get all your human life together, because you instantly have to become like a nomad. And that's why we bought a school bus, because then we can keep it loaded with all of our stuff that we could possibly need. You know, pots and pans and water jugs and things like that. And just be able to actually pick up and just kind of grab some food and go. And it's a wonderful thing, it really is. But there are a lot of people out there who have no interest in going out in nature. They have no interest in going, not just to I mean, most people like a local park and outdoor, you know, experiences, but they don't. A lot of folks are scared to go out in the woods, the place that, you know, this is where we're from. This is our raw, you know, natural selves that want to be able to explore and live in the elements. And when I'm out here, I see the connection between all the plants and animals. And as I was laying there with my kids last night, and we were talking about, you know, nature, and I was explaining to them how most of what you see in the woods doesn't represent the whole. There's a vast amount more underground. I don't know if it's like 75% of all the biomass, I think, is under the soil. And I was explaining to my oldest son, because he was talking about what would be a good superpower for humans, and we were talking about all the ones, invincibility, everything else. And I said, to be able to become a tree, you know, at a sign of danger, and just remain there for a couple hundred years, to be able to wait it out. And I was telling my son how, you know, what are trees thinking? And he's like, oh, you know, they probably nothing. They probably don't think. And I said, you know, trees have more DNA than we do, more complicated. And many plants have much older and more complex DNA chains than we do, because they've been around. And I don't know, you look at a tree like this, most folks don't really think much of it. It's just a tree. It just grows from the ground. It wants to reproduce. You can see this is a maple tree. I don't know what kind, but you can tell by the leaves. And these trees want to reproduce, just like every other living creature on the planet. And they live the slow game. So to us, it seems like they've always been here in a way. And we take that for granted. The same way we take mountains for granted, that everything's just how it is. That if you could speed up time and watch all of this unfold, say 1,000 or 100 years per second or 1,000 years per second on a video, it would look like little blooming of little flowers. You know, if you looked at a large chunk of the earth, say one specific area, and just focused on that for 20 million years and watched a time lapse, you'd see a little forest spring up, then you'd see it burn down, then you'd see a desert form, and then a lake, maybe an ocean, then back to a mountains. And it's always been something that I've kept on my mind, the fact that things seem like they're stable and they've always been here, but that everything is in motion, that everything is constantly in flux. And so are we. And we carry ourselves as if this short little human life is really more important than it is in the big picture, because we could become the center of our own universe, if you will. And I guess that's kind of human nature. We have to believe that we're at the center of everything, because that's how we function. And we know our lives are short relatively to those things around us, so we shut a lot out. And over the past, few hundred years, we have become so detached from nature that, as I said, people don't even want to go out in the woods anymore. They don't even want to travel to their local wild areas. The fact that in the mid-July I can come down here and there's people camping all over, but the fact that there was still a spot open that I could just park and go down to the creek, and that nobody had come to camp there. The fact that with all the people, the millions of people in the area, most people find other things to do. They want to go to maybe a populated lake, take out their boats, or take their RV to a campground that looks more like a local city park than anything else. I have, in-laws that like to go camping, and they have an RV and a boat, and they're set up to where basically they have to park on a flat spot and they have to be able to access it. This is why when I bought a school bus, I got a 21 footer, and it's a little gas engine, not a diesel, so it's just like a 350 pickup style engine. It's not very powerful. In fact, going over the hills near Mount Adams here, I might get up to 30 miles per hour if I'm lucky on some of these hills. But it teaches me the slow game, and I think that's very important. We understand the slow game because everything in society is just way too fast-paced. Even hiking along a trail, you see all these different flowers and plants. And over the years, I've tried to identify them, bringing a little book about the Cascades and the Olympics, and I can't remember what that one's called, but there was a period of time where I had all these flowers memorized in the local area. And it's just such an awesome thing to understand nature on a different level, I guess. So I just wanted to say hello and talk a little bit about the natural world. So much to see, my friends. So much to see. Thanks for coming along on my little ramble. It's 7 in the morning. I'm barely awake, so my brain's not totally working yet. But it wakes up pretty quick in a place like this. Be well, my friends.